Welcome to our new session on nanomaterials and characterization techniques. This is part of additive manufacturing. Here under module 4 we are going to know more about what are nanomaterials and their characterization techniques. Let's go through the syllabus or the content in this module, that is nanomaterial and characterization technique. Firstly, the introduction. Under introduction, we will be knowing the importance of nanotechnology and how it has emerged and the approaches in nanotechnology, that is bottom up and top down approaches are going to be learned. Then what are the challenges faced in nanotechnology? This also we are going to understand better in this particular part. Later we will go through the nanomaterial synthesis and processing works. So we will be understanding which are the methods of creating nanostructures, right from using the mechanical process, that is ultra fine powdering, using mechanical grinding, then coming across the wet chemical synthesis of nanomaterials by using sol gel process, gas phase synthesis, flame assisted ultrasonic spray pyrolysis, the gas condensation process, and the chemical vapor condensation or deposition process. After knowing the synthesis and processing work or preparation of a nano powder or nanoparticles, we have to undergo or know how to visualize or find out the characteristics or their shape, orientation and sizes. For that we require some toolings or we require some instruments. So related to that we are going to know about more on the optical microscopes, their principles, how imaging modes are going to be created, applications and few of their limitations. Similarly, we are going to go through the scanning electron microscope known as SEM. Here also we are going to know about the principles, imaging modes, applications and limitations. Then comes the TEM, which is known as transmission electron microscope. Here also we will be knowing how it is working, on which principle it works, imaging modes, applications and limitations. Then later we will be putting our focus or we will be focusing on XRD, that is X-ray diffraction, its principles, imaging modes, applications and limitations. Then comes the SPM, scanning probe microscope, the working principle, imaging modes, applications and its limitation. Then the popular one, that is AFM, atomic force microscope, the basic principle of that one, what are the instruments used in capturing the image, operational modes, applications and limitation. Then to conclude, later we'll find what is the EPM A, that is electron probe microscope analyzer, the introduction of that one, and sample preparation, working procedure, applications and limitations. So if we part this syllabus the initial part, that is this part, Introduction to Nanomaterial Synthesis, holds part A or part 1, and the analyzing part, the synthesized materials analyzing part, that holds the part 2. So more concentrations you can give on these two parts simultaneously, one by one. So the syllabus is divided in such a manner that the learner should know how the nano production is taking place, which are the techniques used or processes used, how the processing of these nanoparticles takes place. Then after getting the nanoparticles, how to analyze them and find their orientation, size, and their formations, how it is going to form, and what are the methods used in these techniques, that also has to be known. Let's know some of the definitions or terms used in this module, or try to understand what are these terms and where specifically we are able to use them. The first term which we should know is, or the definition we should know is, what is nano. So nano is a prefix which is referred to a Greek prefix meaning dwarf or something very small. Nano depicts technically as 1/1000th of a meter. When you are going to measure it, so it will be a scale of a billionth of a meter, means 10 to the power minus 9 of a meter. Next, we should be able to recognize or understand what is nanoscience and nanotechnology, because very far we have been using these two terms simultaneously. So a quite distinguish has to be made between nanoscience and nanotechnology. So nanoscience is a study of structures and molecules on a scale of nanometer ranging between 1 and 100 nanometer. So whatever we are going to study about the molecules or the structures of these molecules within this bandwidth of 1 and 100 nanometer, that particular area we call it as a nanoscale. So the study of these molecules is called as a nanoscience, and the technology which utilizes it in practical applications such as building devices or any other applications, that technology is called as a nanotechnology. So the utility of these nanoparticles and nanomolecules is on a particular area. That area is called as a nanotechnology. So in the year 2007, the US government formed the National Nanotechnology Initiative. So they came up with this definition, which states that nanotechnology is understanding and controlling of matters at dimensions of roughly 1 to 100 nanometers, where a unique phenomena enables novel applications. Let's understand the definitions which are used in nanotechnology, or the terms used in nanotechnology. The first and foremost, we should know what is nano. The prefix nano is referred to a Greek prefix meaning dwarf or something very small. It depicts 1/1000th of a meter, that is 10 to the power minus 9 meter. More time we use the two terms, that is nanotechnology and nanoscience. but we should be knowing what is the difference between nanoscience and nanotechnology. As nanoscience is a study of structures and molecules on a scale of nanometer, which ranges between 1 and 100 nanometer. This study is called as nanoscience, and the technology that utilizes it in practical applications such as devices or any applications, that technology is called as nanotechnology. As we know, nanotechnology is one of the most promising technologies of the 21st century, and it is having the ability to convert the nanoscience theory to useful applications, and mainly helping in observing, measuring, manipulating and assembling. The National Nanotechnology Initiative (NNI) in United States defined this definition, that is, nanotechnology is the understanding and control of matters at a dimensions of roughly 1 to 100 nanometers, where a unique phenomena enables novel applications in a wide ranges of fields, from chemistry, physics and biology to medicine, engineering and electronics. Here the definition moreover defines that here we are going to use, or it is suggested that the presence of two conditions are there in nanotechnology. The first is the issue involved with nanoscale. Next one, the technology concerned with the structures and controlling their shape and size at nanometers. The second issue has to be doing with the novelty. Nanotechnology must deal with small things in the way that makes advantages of some properties because of this nanoscale. So these two things has to be taken in consideration whenever we are developing any nanomaterials or utilizing this nanomaterials for making applications, that is nanotechnology. Here is a figure which makes a comparison of nanomaterials which is naturally available and which are man-made things. As we know, nanoscience is a convergence of physics, material science and biology, which deals with manipulating of materials at atomic and molecular scale, while nanotechnology is the ability to observe, measure and manipulate, assemble, control and manufacture the matters at a nanometer scale. Firstly, we'll find out the range or a scale of micro world and nano world. So we know 1 centimeter equal to here 10 to the power minus 2 meter, okay, or 10 mm. Like that, the micro world band width is from 10 is to minus 4 meter to 10 is to minus 6 meter. Okay, then the nano world starts from 10 to the power minus 7 meter to 10 to the power minus 9 meter. Okay, so between these bands what are the natural things and which are the man-made things, or which are the naturally available elements and man-made components. Let's see. So ant is approximately of size of 5 mm, which we can observe. Then dust mite 200 mm in size. Human hair 60 to 120 micrometer width. Fly ash approximately 10 to 20 micrometer. Red blood cells approximately 2 to 5 micrometer. Then we are having the pathogens. They are of a size. These means on the pollen grains whatever we have, that is 10 nanometer in diameter. Then the DNA RNAs are approximately having 2 to 12 nanometer in diameter. So these are natural things. Coming on the man-made, so the head of a pin 1 to 2 mm, electromechanical micro electromechanical device or MEMS device. Here we can see some gates, some pollen grains on the with the red blood cells next to the grain or actuators. These are of a size of 10 to 100 micrometer width. Then we can see here the outer ring space of a zinc plate, which is having here of a size of 35 nanometer. Then we can see nanotube electrode here, and they are having the carbon bulky ball, which is having atomic size of 1 to 3 nanometer in diameter. Here there are self-assembled inspired structures of as many as 10 in numbers of 10 nanometer in size. Then the quantum coral of 48 iron nano atoms on a copper surface positioned on at 1 angstrom time with a STM tip with a coral diameter of 14 nanometer. So this is the thing. So man has been challenged to use these technology, and he is able to implement to such a level that he is able to apply the knowledge and able to find the ways in which these materials can be created. Let's understand or go through the introduction to nanotechnology. The earliest systematic discussion of nanotechnology is considered by a speech given by Richard Feynman. This is a picture of Richard Feynman. He is an American scientist and a Nobel Prize laureate. Richard Feynman introduced the concept of nanotechnology in 1959 during the annual meeting of American Physical Society. Feynman presented a lecture titled "There is Plenty of Room at the Bottom" at the conference of California Institute of Technology, Caltech. In this lecture, Feynman made the hypothesis that why can't we write the entire 25 volumes of the Encyclopedia Britannica on the head of a pin, and described a vision using machines to construct smaller machines and down to molecular level. This idea demonstrated that Feynman's hypotheses have been proven correct, and for this reasons he is considered as a father of modern technology. And moreover, in his speech he discussed the importance of manipulating and controlling things on a small scale, and how they could tell us much of the great interest about the strange phenomena that occurs in these complex situations. He described how physical phenomena changes their manifestation during or depending on their scale. Means at the nano level, or when we go deep down into the bottom of the molecular structures or atomic structures of these materials, how they behave or what are their characteristics, that we can able to understand and enhance this energy or this power of plenty of room at the bottom for storing, for making the materials behave with a different characteristic. That was the idea. So like a pyramid, so when we go down here we find more area for the material deposition. At the peak there is very limited area. That is the idea of this nanotechnology. After Feynman had discovered the new area or a new field of research, many scientists started to study this area or showed their interest of research. After 15 years of the term Feynman defined, Norio Taniguchi, a Japanese scientist, was the first to use and define the term nanotechnology in 1974. According to him, nanotechnology mainly consists of the processing of separation, consolidation and deformation of matters by one atom or one molecule. Let's know how the modern era of nanotechnology started. So basically we know the ideas that defined nanotechnology and nanoscience was mentioned long before the term was coined. In a lecture given by American physicist Richard Feynman, that there is plenty of room at the bottom. Feynman described the process that would allow scientists to manipulate and control individual atoms and molecules. This happened in 1959. Later, while working in the field of production, that is in the development of ultra precision machines, Professor Norio Taniguchi of Japan coined the term nanotechnology in 1974. Next, in 1981, Benning and Henrik Rohrer developed the scanning tunnel microscope or the STM. This is called as the beginning of modern nanotechnology. The STM allowed researchers to view atoms on a surface material for the first time. Since then, the new technology started to begin and there was gradual growth in it. However, recently market has exploded and this nanotechnology has become a hotbed for innovation. In the year 1989, Don Eigler and Erhard at IBM Research Center manipulated 35 individual xenon atoms to spell the IBM logo. This was the demonstration which showed the ability of precisely manipulating the atoms. and usage of nanotechnology for this one. From the year 1990s to 2000, groups of researchers and committees were formed to drive nano-related research in areas such as consumer product making, and use of nanotechnology started to pick up in the market. In 2004, Andrei and Konstantin Novoselov at University of Manchester, they were working on materials which are going to get isolated in the characteristics. For this work, they won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2010. In 2016, Jean Pierre, Fraser and Bernard won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for their research work in developing nanoscale machines, including a nano car. So like this, there are quite a number of people who have contributed in this nanotechnology. Let's see the history of nanotechnology. Nanoparticles and structures have been used by humans late in the 4th century AD. So literatures tell that the Romans demonstrated one of the most interesting examples of nanotechnology in the ancient world. Here is one example of a Damascus steel sword. So these swords, which are found in the Middle East, were made between 300 AD and 1700 AD, and they were known for their impressive strength, shatter resistance and exceptional sharp edges. These blades contained orientation of nanoscaled wire and tube-like structures, which almost certainly enhanced the material properties. So there are possibilities of these swords are having some form of carbon nanotubes. So the existence or the knowledge of nanotechnology was known to the human beings way back in those centuries also. Similarly, there are number of relative famous examples of ancient artifacts which were created using nano composites. The world famous the Lycurgus cup in British Museum is one of the example of stunning decorative Roman treasures from the 400 AD. This is made up of glass. It changes the color when light is shown through it. The glass contains gold and silver alloyed nanoparticles, and they are distributed in such a way that the glass looks green in color when light is getting reflected, and when light passes through it, then it reveals a brilliant red and purple color. Means the people were aware about the distributions of these gold and silver alloyed particles and how they can be used for making these artifacts that knowledge also they had. A similar effect is seen in the late medieval church windows. A shining luminous red and yellow colors are here due to the fusion of gold and silver nanoparticles into the glass. It is also mentioned in literature that during the 9th to 17th century, glowing, glittering and luster ceramic glazes used in the Islamic world, and later in Europe also started to use it. It contained mainly the silver and copper or other nanoparticles. The Italians also employed nanoparticles in creating Renaissance pottery during the 16th century. They were influenced by Ottoman techniques during the 13th to 18th century to produce Damascus saber blades, cementide nanowires and carbon nanotubes, which provided strength, resilience and ability to hold a keen edge. And the colors and material properties were produced intentionally for hundreds of years. And these medieval artists and forgers, however, did not know the cause of these surprise effects. Here is a figure showing the effect of different nanoparticles with different sizes to a stained glass window. So we can very well tell that nanotechnology has been existing not now, it has a very wide influence in our history also, and it is being explored by different civilizations at different levels. Here are some of the e-learning platforms or web links which I would like to share with you. Thank you. You can contact me at my email ID, that is naveen.kalal@canaraengineering.in.